What if your local rice merchant started printing his own money and the entire country just accepted it? No government approval, no central bank backing, no royal seal of authority, just a merchant, a woodblock, some ink, and a piece of paper that said, "This is worth silver, trust us." In 17th century Japan, that is almost exactly what happened. And the system that grew out of it was so intricate, so well functioning, and so surprisingly sophisticated that when Western economists finally studied it in the 19th century, they were genuinely stunned. This is the story of Japan's first paper money, a currency born not from kings or governments, but from merchants, rice dealers, and local lords who simply needed a better way to do business. And it's a story that connects directly to one of the biggest financial debates of our time. Welcome to Money Vault, where we dig into the hidden history and mechanics of money. Let's get into it. Japan's metal money problem. To understand why Japan invented its own paper money, we need to understand what money looked like in Japan before paper existed. For most of Japan's early history, currency was metal. Copper coins, many of them imported from China, circulated alongside silver and gold pieces of various shapes and weights. The problem wasn't just the weight, though that was certainly an issue for large transactions. The deeper problem was standardization, or the complete lack of it. Japan in the 17th century was not one unified country in any modern sense. It was a collection of hundreds of semi-independent territories, each controlled by a powerful local lord called a daimyo. These domains, called Han, were almost like small nations. They had their own armies, their own economies, their own rules, and critically, they had their own ideas about money. Metal coins of different origins, different weights, and different purities circulated side by side. A merchant travelling between domains might need to carry multiple types of coins and constantly recalculate exchange rates. A simple trade deal could become an arithmetic nightmare. The system was crying out for simplification, and as always in the history of money, when a system becomes too painful, someone finds a way around it. Yamada Hagaki, Japan's first paper money. The someone, in this case, was a group of merchants in the Ise region of Japan, in what is today Mie Prefecture, on the eastern coast of the Kii Peninsula. Ise was famous throughout Japan for one thing above all else, the Ise Grand Shrine, the most sacred Shinto shrine in the entire country. Millions of pilgrims travelled to Ise every year, making it one of Japan's most economically active regions. Commerce was booming, money needed to move fast, and so sometime in the early 1600s, historians debate the exact date, but most place it around 1610 to 1640. A group of merchants and priests associated with the Ise Shrine began issuing paper certificates backed by silver deposits. These certificates were called Yamada Hagaki. The concept was straightforward. Deposit your silver with the issuing group, receive a paper certificate representing that silver, and use the certificate to conduct business. When you needed your silver back, or when a merchant at the other end of a transaction wanted to redeem it, you brought the paper in. Sound familiar? It's the same principle Palmstruck used in Sweden, the same principle that underpinned China's jiaozi. But here's what made the Yamada Hagaki remarkable. It wasn't issued by a government. It wasn't backed by a king or a shogun or any official authority. It was issued by merchants and religious institutions, backed entirely by commercial trust and reputation. And it worked. The Yamada Hagaki circulated successfully in the Ise region for decades. Merchants accepted it, pilgrims used it, tradespeople trusted it. Not because any law required them to, but because the issuers had a reputation worth protecting, and everyone in the region knew it. Han Satsu, when everyone starts printing money. Now here's where Japan's story takes a turn that makes it unlike anything else in monetary history. The Yamada Hagaki was a local success, and like all local successes, other people noticed. Across Japan, individual Han domains began issuing their own paper currency. These notes were called Han Satsu, literally domain bills, and over the course of the 17th and 18th centuries, they exploded in number and variety. We're not talking about a few dozen regional currencies. Historians estimate that at the peak of the Han Satsu era, there were over 1,600 different types of paper notes circulating across Japan, issued by different domains, different merchant guilds, different financial institutions. Each Han Satsu was its own microcurrency, backed by the reputation, silver reserves, or simply the authority of the Han that issued it. Some domains backed their notes with rice, others with silver, others with copper, some with a combination, a few, inevitably, with nothing but promises. Imagine travelling across Japan in the 1700s. Every time you crossed from one domain to another, the money in your pocket might change in value, exchange rates shifted constantly, merchants at domain borders became specialists in currency conversion, essentially the world's first forex traders, sitting at checkpoints with abacuses and rate tables. It was messy, it was complicated, it was inefficient, and yet somehow it worked well enough to sustain a sophisticated, prosperous economy for over 2 centuries. Why private money actually worked in Japan? This is the question that fascinates economists and historians alike. Why did a system of hundreds of competing private currencies function at all? The answer comes down to something deeply Japanese, the concept of trust rooted in community. In feudal Japan, your domain was your world. Most people lived, worked, traded, and died within a relatively small geographic area. The merchants, the farmers, the artisans, they all knew each other. They all answered to the same daimyo. They all participated in the same local economy. When the local Han issued paper money, people accepted it, not because a distant government told them to, but because they trusted the institution behind it. The daimyo had skin in the game. If his Han Satsu became worthless, his entire domain's economy collapsed and his power evaporated. That accountability created discipline. Most Han were careful not to overprint. Most kept their notes backed by something real. There were failures, of course. Some domains printed recklessly. Some Han Satsu became worthless. Local financial crises erupted periodically, but the system was also self-correcting in a way that centralized systems often aren't. When one domain's currency collapsed, it didn't take down every other domain's currency with it. The damage was contained. The rest of the economy absorbed it and kept moving. In an era before central banks and deposit insurance, Japan had accidentally built something economists now call a free banking system, multiple competing currency issuers, regulated by market forces and community trust rather than government decree. It's a concept that Austrian economists would celebrate 3 centuries later, and it's a concept that Bitcoin enthusiasts talk about today. The Tokugawa shogunate's complicated relationship with Han Satsu. Now, the central government of Japan, the Tokugawa shogunate, which ruled from Edo, modern-day Tokyo, had a complicated relationship with all of this. The shogunate issued its own official coinage, gold coins called koban, silver coins and copper coins all circulated under shogunate authority. These were the real money of Japan in an official sense. But the shogunate's reach was limited. Japan was vast, the domains were powerful, and collecting taxes in metal coins from every corner of the country was logistically impossible. So the shogunate largely tolerated the Han Satsu. with conditions. Domains were permitted to issue their own paper notes, but those notes were officially only supposed to circulate within their own domain's borders. You weren't meant to use Osaka domain notes in Edo, you weren't supposed to spend Kyushu Han Satsu in Kyoto. In practice, these borders were porous. Popular, well-trusted Han Satsu from economically powerful domains circulated far beyond their official boundaries. Merchants found ways. They always do. The result was a monetary system operating on two parallel tracks: official metal coinage from the shogunate at the top and a vast organic web of paper notes below, filling in all the gaps the official system couldn't reach. It was chaotic. It was also remarkably functional. The cracks appear, abuse of the system. But as with every great monetary experiment in history, cracks eventually appeared. The temptation to print more than you could back was constant, and not every domain had the discipline to resist it. As Japan moved through the 18th century and into the 19th century, some Han began issuing Han Satsu far in excess of their actual reserves. The notes depreciated. Merchants started refusing them. Local inflation erupted in pockets across the country. The Tokugawa shogunate itself was also in financial trouble by the early 19th century, caught between rising costs, declining tax revenues, and a rigid feudal economic structure that couldn't keep pace with a changing world. And then came the event that changed everything. In 1853, American Commodore Perry arrived in Japan with a fleet of black steamships and forced open the country's ports to foreign trade after more than 2 centuries of deliberate isolation. Japan's feudal economy, patchwork currencies, local domains, Han Satsu and all, suddenly had to compete with the industrial economies of America and Europe. The contrast was stark, and the Japanese knew it. The Meiji Restoration, the end of Han Satsu. In 1868, one of the most dramatic transformations in modern history began. Emperor Meiji was restored to power. The Tokugawa shogunate fell, and Japan embarked on a furious, determined, extraordinarily rapid modernization of every aspect of its society: military, industrial, legal, educational, and financial. The new Meiji government looked at the patchwork of 1,600 plus Han Satsu notes circulating across Japan and made a swift decision: all of it had to go. A modern industrial nation needed a modern national currency. You could not build railroads, factories, and a modern army when your money changed value every time you crossed a provincial border. Between 1868 and 1876, the Meiji government systematically abolished the Han domains, eliminated their currencies, and began the process of creating a unified national monetary system. In 1871, Japan introduced the yen, a single decimal-based currency, nationally standardized, backed by the authority of the central government, designed to function seamlessly across every corner of the Japanese archipelago. The Han Satsu, those hundreds of local paper notes that had sustained Japan's economy for over 2 centuries, were called in, exchanged for yen, and retired from circulation. An era ended. A modern financial system began. The Bank of Japan and the modern yen. The creation of the yen was just the beginning. In 1882, the Meiji government established the Bank of Japan, the country's first true central bank, modelled largely on the Belgian National Bank and the principles that had emerged from Europe's century of central banking experience. The Bank of Japan took over the exclusive right to issue banknotes. The private, domain-based currency issuance that had defined Japan's monetary system for 2 centuries was permanently replaced by centralized, government-backed currency. It worked dramatically. Japan's economy modernized at a pace that stunned the world. Within a generation, a feudal agrarian society had transformed into an industrial power capable of defeating Russia in the Russo-Japanese War of 1905. The unified yen played a central role in that transformation. Money that worked the same way everywhere, that was trusted by everyone, that could flow freely across the entire country. It was the financial infrastructure that made industrial Japan possible. What Japan's monetary history tells us about money today. Now here's where Japan's story becomes genuinely relevant to your financial life today. Japan's Han Satsu system was, at its core, a decentralized private currency network. Hundreds of issuers, no central authority, trust determined by reputation and community rather than government mandate. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that description fits cryptocurrency almost perfectly. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the thousands of other digital currencies circulating today are modern Han Satsu. They're private, decentralized, community-trusted monetary instruments operating alongside, and sometimes in competition with, official government currencies. And the questions Japan faced in the 1860s are the same questions governments face today. Can a decentralized currency system sustain a modern economy? At what point does the chaos of competing currencies outweigh the benefits of financial freedom? When does a government need to step in and standardize? Japan answered those questions in 1871 by creating the yen. The answer was, eventually, scale requires standardization. But for 2 centuries before that, private money worked, community trust worked, decentralized currency issuance worked. The history of money is never a straight line from primitive to modern. It is a spiral, and we keep returning to the same fundamental questions, just with better technology. Japan figured that out 400 years ago, and that is the extraordinary story of Japan's first paper money from the merchant issued Yamada Hagaki of the 1600s through the wild, brilliant chaos of 1,600 competing Han Satsu currencies to the birth of the modern yen in 1871. Japan did not just invent a currency, it ran a 200-year live experiment in private, decentralized money that the rest of the world is still trying to understand. At Money Vault, this is exactly what we do: find the stories behind money that change how you see the financial world around you. If this video expanded how you think about money, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who deserve to know this history. If you're not subscribed to Money Vault yet, hit subscribe and ring the bell, because we have more stories like this coming that you absolutely do not want to miss. And drop a comment below. Here's what I want to know. Do you think Japan's Han Satsu system sounds more like Bitcoin or more like a financial disaster waiting to happen? Tell me in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.